What up, friends? We are back with another edition of The Drive presented by oddschecker.com. With me, as always, is my boy, Andy Lack at ADP Lack Sports on X. Andy on location with us. Oh, swing season Andy. He was dynamite last year. Took you to the finish line yesterday
Ah,
with Bo Hostler. I had no Bo action, but I am a supporter of Bo. I was actually really enjoying when before Kevin you got in the mix that it was like I thought we had a battle of high crown visors because I'm a high crown visor guy. They're like an
yeah.
endangered species these days. Very random place to take it, but I still want to give you props, Andy, for your Bo shout. Almost had it, losing in a playoff. That stings. But we're off to Utah. Black Desert Championship. This is what the fall swing's made for. Andy talks about opportunity in the fall swing. I'm looking forward to hearing what sort of player profile he's got, but hey, where that magic wand has led him this week. So, Andy, that was a loaded intro. Welcome back, friend.
Yeah. I would say I'm pretty optimistic and excited about this week. We got a new golf course. I don't think the golf course is going to be all that different from golf courses that we often see during the fall swing or the Corrales Punta Cana or Vedanta Vallarta or any of your typical birdie fests on the PGA Tour in terms of how it's actually going to test professional golfers. Now, with that being said, it's a really cool, unique setting for pro golf. I think at worst, it's going to be a really fun screensaver over the weekend. Like you're going to get to watch middling tour pros hit into beautiful vistas in a truly beautiful part of the country that kind of looks like Mars if you've never been there before. So in terms of like the golf course, the golf tournament, it's a resort course. It's a birdie fest. But if you're going to go to those courses, at least go to a really unique and singular setting. So I guess I'll applaud them on that front, Jeffrey.
All right, Andy. Well, tell us a little about where we're playing this week. Just I guess what sort of player profile you will be you'll be looking for because you mentioned it's a new course. And for people that like to bet the PGA Tour often that have been betting it for years, we often say to each other these are kind of can be the most frustrating ones because places we've been forever, we have a player profile, we have winning scores, we know exactly sort of which lane, right or wrong, we know exactly sort of lane we want to fire into. So point me in the right direction, friend.
Yeah, these are the weeks where I have the biggest edge because I think that's what I do best is break down golf courses without data from an architectural standpoint. I think if you want to look at reference points, the Summit Club, um, TPC Craig Ranch with a little bit of a higher missed fairway penalty. Um, TPC Craig Ranch and TPC Scottsdale were both designed by Tom Weiskopf. If those golf courses had a baby and
Okay.
became Mormon, then I think you would have Black Desert. I think it's going to be a little bit harder than TPC Craig Ranch. I think it's going to be a little bit easier than TPC Scottsdale. And they're both Weiskopf. So anyway, I mean, I drive the ball a long way, putting contest, short irons. I mean, who would you, if we were going to Mexico this week or Corrales, whoever you would bet there, you're not barking up a super wrong tree singling out those guys this week.
And in Mexico, I mean, obviously we've seen Rom and Finau have success there being class of the field, but last year with them gone, it was Valimaki versus Jake Knapp, which just turned into like
Bombers.
like a big swing in, just unleashing hole after hole again. So okay, that's the lane we're gonna pick here. Keith Mitchell, off his real disappointing finish yesterday, is the favorite on that grid over at 18-1. Kurt Kitayama, Seamus Power, the only players coming in under 30. So I guess we'll just start it there. I don't even know if it's necessary for us to go through the whole board tier by tier like we normally do. I feel like that'll just lead to a lot of like naming of names in a week like this, Andy. So, I mean, let's get into it. Do you like anyone sort of at the top? I don't really see myself biting too much in front of 50 to 1, if at all. So if not at the very top, where would you be starting this sucker?
Yeah, I bet a Seamus Power 30 on
Yeah.
FanDuel.
As low
Um,
as 22 to 1 now on the odds checker grid. FanDuel still holding a 28. So sorry, as low as 20 to 20 over at Bet Rivers. So clearly some movement there. Andy has spotted Powers still available at 28.
yeah. Um, in this field, number one player on resort courses, number one player in easy scoring conditions, number one player in the fall swing. Seamus Power. Um, so I think this is a pretty wonderful spot for him. I actually have a full card.
Do you
It's
remember what Power was last week? Not that it matters.
Yeah, I mean he was I think he was the same, right?
So
What and
then
he
that
finished the
does kind of
11.
feel like I don't say there's value, but that doesn't that
I
feels
thought 30
fair.
was high.
Yeah, I'd say that
Oh,
feels fair, right? That feels
yeah,
fair. I
yeah.
mean, Bo last week you had it what, 50? Was that your number?
I had Bo at 50. Bo is now 28 to
So
1.
yeah, to invest in Bo this week, it's like it's half the number. You're probably just better off trying to find this week's Bo Hostler at double that number, I guess would be
Yeah,
the Andy
so
Lack plan.
yeah. So I bet Seamus 30. Um, I bet Andrew Novak
Yeah,
45.
I can get behind that one. 40
Yeah.
seems to be a consensus now, but I didn't see no 45s, and I'd be happy to get in on 40. So I could be on with
Yes,
you there.
sir. Yes, sir. I thought JJ Spawn 50 was a bit much. He was 22 to 1
So,
last week.
see,
And he
again, you're
just shot,
doubling, yeah, buying
yeah,
the
he
dip.
shot 3 over par and was like, I have to shoot 62 to make this cut. Like, see ya. Why am I here? Um, I'm not
Clearly, yeah,
reading.
clearly shows he wasn't really injured. He was just like, I'm
No.
getting out of town. Sorry,
Yeah.
pals. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have to put yourself in a position to shoot 61 to be T47 at the Sanderson Farms, like, what are you doing? So I bet Spawn 50. I bet Doug Gim 50. I bet Justin Lauer 55. I think that's it. Did I bet Ben Coles 80? I either bet Ben Coles 80 or I'm thinking about betting Ben Coles
Potentially
80.
swimming around Ben Cole's 80. Still seeing those 80s out there as low as 60 to 1.
As low as 50 on Ben Coles is 50 to 1. I'm
Yes,
seeing
50. Sorry,
correct
you're
on.
right. Over at Bet 365. Again, something we see this time of year, Andy, is there really is not much of a consensus on the
No.
odds. And maybe with being football season and such lower light events, I mean, the books are posting it. You can bet it, but clearly, like they're, not exactly focused on the golf this week. So Novak would be a guy under 50 to 1 who would have my eye. I would also say Emiliano Grillo, but I
He
don't
just,
know if I
he
could
just
trust him to
withdrew.
make
He
enough
just withdrew.
birdies.
He withdrew. He withdrew.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that timely insight. Last week I got to play Thor Bjornsson at 100. This week he's 40. As low as 28 on the odds checker grid. But there are a lot of things that I can get behind. And speaking of another guy who played quite well last week, Andy, Saturday got the worst of him. But Daniel Berger had 3 great rounds. He claims he's 100% healthy for the first time in a long time, seeing it as high as 60 to 1 over at FanDuel, as low as 40 on 365. Do you have any did you look at him at all? Is there any sort of course fit you could take there? Like a healthy Burger versus this field just might be something I'm willing to blindly play after seeing him look good for 3 out of 4 rounds.
Yeah, he's played really well on Weiskopf courses. I think of his more as like a short positional Bermuda, Florida guy is where I kind of think he'll get his first win as opposed to more of a West Coast mountain guy. But that's like anecdotal evidence in terms of the golf course fit. There
His
isn't a
first
whole
win back. Let's not confuse him for the other losers I bet on who have never.
I have no problem with Berger. I think he's on the upswing. I, Vegas might be a better spot for him next week, but I may end up being a week late on that.
Yeah, so I mean, really, again, I'd just be really naming names. I don't mind Rio Hitsetsune,
Yeah, I like that. I like
110 to
that.
1, 125 to 1. That could be a guy saying, Feinberg, find me a triple digits, 100 to 1 above for you. That would be my shout for it. So I'm pretty light, but I'm going to get in on Novak. I'm going to be in on Berger, and I could see myself getting in on Ryu, and that would
I like
complement
that. I may
Andy's.
bet your that 125 to 1 on Hisetsune is that's quite robust. I may join you on that one, my friend.
GC, if I can get swing season Andy on board, maybe I could be on to something. Andy, run through your card one more time. As usual, it seems way more than I know sample size, call it what you will. I've been doing this with Andy for a little bit now, and swing season is his jam. So run through that card one more time. We are going to catch something in October tailing Andy
Oh,
Lack.
undeniable. We will absolutely do that. I thought we had one last. I mean, I hedged. Don't get me wrong. I had a really good week because when you get Bo Hostler into a playoff in a 1v1, I
And you
mean,
just survived that 18th hole, right? And
yeah,
that why the thing about
yeah,
Bo, and he kept his composure all day, and I was really proud of him. And as a fan of his, or just a fan of golf who knows these guys, I mean that he kind of avoided that big miss all day until it got to
until,
18, and
yeah,
he was never beating Kevin Yu in an 18th
no.
hole contest.
No, 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 no. And I'm glad it actually ended early. Anyway, Seamus Power 30 to 1, Andrew Novak 45, JJ Spawn 50, Justin Lauer 55, Doug Gim 55. And then as soon as we finish, Jeff, I'm gonna bet his Etsune. And that may leave me room for Ben Coles. It may not, but there's at least five guys that you could grab right now at close to those odds.
And I'll put you on the spot and ask you, where are we next week? Because if you ask me, I literally couldn't tell you.
Vegas,
Oh, okay.
Summerlin. We
Beautiful.
go, yeah, we
Familiar. I
go.
played and I played Summerlin the week Masters week this year when I was down there. Beautiful. Love that. I'll
Oh
be
yeah.
back next week with Andy Lack. We'll still be betting hopefully cashing a winner this week, betting more guys at altitude. For Andy, I am Jeff. We'll be back next week on the drive. We out.